Every time my mother gave birth, he encouraged us to hold vigil. Just think of it, you know, a clutch of young girls praying for that longed-for son and brother. We were clearly not enough. When my mother gave birth to his sixth daughter, she was 45 years old, and she officially gave up. She said she felt like one of Henry VIII's wives. You know, she might get beheaded if she produced yet another daughter. And my dad, who was a very good-hearted man, although entirely reconstructed, decided to focus on his girls. And I was a major beneficiary. The year I turned 13, he took me by bus to Cambridge University to show me the dreaming spires and the beautiful campus of this great university. His message was very simple. He said, you know, if you work hard, you could go here. Now that kind of seems easy, right? It was really a very audacious suggestion. You know, I was a kid that went to the local, very mediocre state school that had never sent anyone to either Oxford or Cambridge. I also spoke English with a disastrous Welsh working-class accent, which was the kiss of death in polite English society. But you know, in a strange way, my dad was newly right. Times were changing. There was a women's movement getting off the ground. And there was a Labour government in power which was trying to force what they call the ancient universities to open their doors much more widely to two groups, women and girls, and kids from the wrong side of the tracks. Well, guess what? I got to qualify on both scores. You know, so I went back to Wales, I worked very hard, and true enough, a few years later, I gained admission to Cambridge, and it did transform my life. Now, some of the credit goes to me, but much more goes to others. My dad, perhaps, and those feminists and policy wonks that had gotten the equal opportunity legislation through. And I guess the lesson I derive from these early experiences is that grit and determination is not enough. You cannot pull yourself up with your own bootstraps. You need help from others. In my case, without the inspiration of my father and the help of my government, I could not have gotten out of those grim mining valleys. This is something that has infused much of my work, most particularly my recent work on the sponsor effect. As Fran mentioned in the introduction, what we tackle in this new research is the huge issue of why has progress stalled? Why don't we have more women at the top of organizations in Wall Street and elsewhere? As we show in our research, it has nothing to do with qualifications, track record, or experience. As you can see from this extraordinary gathering tonight, there's a ton of high-performing women in the pipeline these days. Rather, it's a question of sponsorship, or more accurately, the lack of sponsorship. The data shows that high-performing women are half as likely to have a powerful sponsor that propels them and protects them through the higher straits and perilous straits of upper management. And I tell you, no matter how brilliant you are or how hard you work, you can't get that sought off after a senior appointment unless you're known by, believed in, and put forward by someone who has power in your organization and is prepared to go to bat for you. Which brings me back to my own story, because I guess that's what I learned in my journey, that you can't grab that next opportunity without a whole lot of help from the outside. So my challenge is tonight to the leading edge companies committed to women's progress, and there are many of you in the audience tonight. I think that this notion of creating pathways to sponsorship for your high-performing women is indeed the way to crack that glass ceiling. Companies like American Express, Deloitte, and Morgan Stanley have started this journey, and I would love all kinds of other folks to get on board. Thank you.
Okay, one more. I promise, one more. But to me, this is the highlight of the evening. It is with my great pleasure and pride that I get to introduce our 2011 Merit Award winner, Sarah Diamond. As you can see, she has quite a fan club. And for those of you that may not know, Sarah is currently the Global Managing Partner for IBM's Global Business Services Financial Services sector. And before Sarah comes up, and you know that I want her up here because we've been so excited about this since she was named 3 months ago, I would like to tell you just a little bit more about the Merit Award and why Sarah was selected. The Merit Award is given to a woman in finance who is widely recognized for her contribution in the finance field and for her support of women's diversity in the workplace. With that background, let me tell you a little bit about Sarah. Global thinker, persistent, thoughtful, unwavering focus, innovative, humble, consistent integrity. Whether a colleague, a client, a personal friend, a manager, or a mentee, these are the descriptions that you hear when you ask someone about Sarah. Sarah's career began about 25 years ago with her first position at Chemical Bank in London. She was the first woman hired into the Overseas Auditing Division, where she worked with the bank's branches and subsidiaries throughout Europe, Asia, and Latin America. Sarah later became the first woman selected from Chemical's London office to transfer to New York, where she has remained since. There she worked on the risk management team of the Capital Markets Division. Now, you may notice the theme of firsts here for Sarah. Following Chemical, Sarah embarked on a new journey, and it's a journey that many of us know her from, and began her consulting career. Although initially starting out in a niche firm, Sarah quickly moved on to join the risk management practice at KPMG and made partner in 1995. Sarah's consulting career really took off while she was at KPMG, resulting in a promotion to run the global markets group at Bearing Point once they did that spin-off, and also to join the executive management team. Sarah's focus from the beginning was global, making her a pioneer overseeing complex client relationships across borders, much more before it became very savvy. And while Sarah progressed in her career with increasing responsibility and complexity and draws on her time, she also found the time to manage Bearing Point's community initiatives and be a leader in the firm's new hire training programs. In fact, many of the people that you heard clapping for Sarah earlier, she has either hired or mentored over the years. Of course, we all know it didn't stop there. In 2005, Sarah joined IBM's Global Business Services as the America's financial markets leader, and she successively became the banking leader and then vice president for their strategy and global industries. In her current role as financial markets leader, Sarah has been responsible for a complete turnaround of the business by focusing heavily on both developing client relationships that we all know she's so wonderful at, but also professionally developing her partners. She has been able to set the groundwork for significant market growth for subsequent years. But of course, it doesn't stop there. In addition to managing a complex global division of IBM, she's also very instrumental in promoting diversity, global diversity, not only at IBM, but as a leader in making the Women's Bond Club what it is today. Sarah has been an active member of the WBC for more than 10 years. Under Sarah's leadership, as well as a few other women that are in the room, I know Carolyn and Jocelyn and Dessa, KPMG was one of the first 3 firms to become a corporate member of the WBC back in 2001. And I also have to mention Deborah Walton, who's not here tonight, but was part of that core group of women. Since then, Sarah has held several WBC leadership positions. She's been on the board of directors. She oversaw the Corporate Outreach Committee. She was co-president from 2003 to 2005. And recently, Liz and I had felt the importance of having a senior advisory board for the club, and Sarah has graciously agreed to join that committee. Under Sarah's tenure as co-president, the WBC and their events prospered. The Merit Award that we're sitting here at tonight, which is 750 strong, was 50 people at one point and grew to over 500 while Sarah was managing that event. One of the events that I've heard so much about was in 2002, where the Merit Award dinner not only honored leaders in our industry, but also the victims of September 11th, which, given what happened downtown today, I think is very, very applicable. And she also included not only the leaders in our industry, but members of the police, the fire, the emergency services. And I know it's something that everyone remembers to this day. Also, always thinking of ways to innovate and also promote talent, Sarah was actually the impetus behind, along with others, as she humbly told me this evening, but she was the impetus behind the Rising Star Award. So all of you young women that received that tonight, you have Sarah as well as some of the other women I mentioned to thank, because we really felt, Sarah felt, why should we just be honoring women that have already made it? We should also be honoring women that are in the early part of their career and are the future leaders of our companies. And there's several women here tonight that are past rising stars and have risen to senior leadership positions. Through her work with the WBC, Sarah has also been instrumental in helping other organizations develop their women's network, which was how I was originally introduced to the WBC when BNY Mellon and Karen Peets actually got a membership with the WBC. But further to that, it was under Sarah's guidance that I actually joined the Corporate Outreach Committee back in 2007, and then ultimately was invited to be on the board and became co-president last year. So thank you, Sarah, so much for that. It doesn't stop, of course, with the WBC. Within IBM, which we all know is a huge corporation, she demonstrates her commitment to diversity not just with women, but across the global empire. She's a regular speaker on IBM panels, encouraging women and career development globally. She leads their executive insight sessions and taking the stage panels. She helps women enhance their careers by providing support, encouragement, and best practices. She chairs roundtables across the globe, and she also is the founding sponsor of IBM's Technical Women Pipeline Program, which all of us financial services firms know technology is all what makes us really happen. So we need that pipeline to continue. She also founded a writer's workshop for teenage students. She's a board member of the American Friends of St. Hilda's College in Oxford, and she's a mentor to Columbia University's Executive Master of Finance. She also has a family who is here celebrating with her tonight. So Sarah, I see you as a true leader. You have the ability not only to shape large business strategies, but also mentor so many of us that are in this room and that are now leaders in our industry. You consistently support so many women at IBM, so many women at the WBC, and so many women at your client firms. You are a fantastic role model, not only to the club, but to our larger community. So please, please welcome me to welcome my friend, Sarah Diamond, and this year's Merit Award winner.
Wow. Fran, thank you so much for those words. And to the board and to all the members of the Women's Bond Club, I can't thank you enough for this honor. And I'm thrilled, and I'm obviously really humbled, and I'm quite sure what I'm going to say won't convey adequately the depth of my gratitude to all of you. But before I continue, I want to add my thanks to our wonderful rising stars. You truly are our stars, and to Sylvia Ann Hewlett. So, as you can tell, the Women's Bond Club holds a very special place in my heart. Since joining, and it was in 1999, I've made just lifelong friends, and I've developed wonderful business relationships. And maybe best of all, I've watched many other members experience all the same rich benefits, which is what makes this association so special. And to me, the core of that, what makes this organization so different, is the amazing balance we have between expanding our influence and preserving a unique culture of intimacy and inclusion. Now, I wouldn't be standing here tonight without the benefit of two very important opportunities in my life, and there's a very consistent theme here. So first, the education that I also received in England taught me to believe that if I worked hard, I could achieve anything I set my mind on. And second, my move to the United States, and particularly to New York in 1999, taught me that where you are and where you come from are secondary to what you can do. As a child, I grew up and I went to school in the north of England, north of London, at a school that always encouraged its students to aim high and to accept no academic boundaries. The school, North London Collegiate School, was actually founded in 1850 to give girls an education, quote, equal to that of their brothers. Frances Mary Buss was the founder, and she was the headmistress for 44 years. And she was a true force in the struggle to obtain education for English girls in the second half of the 19th century. And from the start, Miss Buss built a foundation to let her students pursue academic and other careers. Not for her, just to produce girls who are going to become well-rounded daughters, wives, or mothers. Now, my good fortune continued when I went to one of the colleges at Oxford University, St. Hilda's College, which was named for the Abbess of Witney. The Abbess of Witney, a medievalist, was a great proponent of education in early medieval England, and at the time ran one of the most important European abbeys and houses of education as a woman. So from the start of my education, I benefited enormously from an environment that wasn't just rich in the history of educational opportunity, but it was one that proactively encouraged women to pursue their passions, regardless of precedent or traditional boundaries. Now let's fast forward to today, and we know that the importance of equal education has only escalated. And to me, that means that the beneficiaries of the pioneers who created these opportunities for us, that we share a responsibility to carry these opportunities forward in any way that we can, through funding scholarships, mentoring, recruiting, and promoting women in our fields. I know that since I came to IBM, I've again benefited from a long history of progressive and inclusive workforce practices and a leadership position on leveling the playing field for women. That started when IBM hired its first woman, before we were even called IBM, and this summer we celebrate our centennial, so it was a long, long time ago. And the company's commitment to gender equality can be traced back to 1935. It was then that our founder and our first CEO, Thomas J. Watson Sr., declared, and I quote, that men and women will receive equal pay for equal work, have the same responsibilities and the same opportunity for advancement. And that was almost 30 years before the Equal Pay Act. IBM appointed its first female executive in 1943 and its first female member of the board of directors in 1954. And today, just to give you a sense, we have a woman who runs our global sales and marketing for our $100 billion enterprise, a woman who leads all of sales for America. Our global CIO is a woman, and the list continues. So over our 100-year history, it's been a great place for the advancement of women and for their accomplishments. And I know that will continue and accelerate as the years come on. Because at its core, the company believes and understands that it needs the best thinking, leadership and innovation, wherever and with whomever that resides, as the basis for success in the marketplace in the 21st century. Now, Fran was kind. It's really after almost 30 years in this industry. My list of thank yous would be endless if I tried to name everyone who's had a part in making tonight possible for me. So let me close by extending my enormous gratitude first to my family, to my husband Peter and my daughter Hannah, both of whom are here tonight, and my son Jonathan, who's sadly taking exams at college tonight, to my wonderful former colleagues and dear, dear friends from KPMG and Bearing Point, and to my current most gracious colleagues and mentors at IBM. To Bridget van Kralingen, who encouraged me to enjoy IBM in the first place. To my industry associates, especially Karen Peets, a role model of elegance in leadership. And finally, to my friends at the Women's Bond Club, for your support, your encouragement, and your trust. I truly appreciate this honor, and I look forward to continuing my association. You've got my complete commitment that I'll continue to support the club in any way that I can. Thank you.
So, I did say one more, so it was two. But this concludes our program for the evening. I want to thank Morgan Stanley again for hosting us this evening. I'd like to again congratulate our award winners tonight, Sylvia Hewlett and Sarah Diamond. Thank you to the board. Thank you for all the committee members that make this club so valuable and so long-lasting. And also thank you for all for coming, and thank you to our corporate and individual members. Enjoy the rest of your evening.